أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا، وأنت إن شئت تجعل الحزن سهلا. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من أن نشرك بك شيئا نعلمه، ونستغفرك لما لا نعلمه. ثم أما بعد. We are still speaking about one of the muhlikat, or the destructive behavior, that Imam Ghazali is addressing in his third book, in Ihya Ulumuddin. And last time we talked about the two things that people desire to have control over. One is properties, materials, and the only way to get this is through money. That's why people love money, because money enables people to control, to buy things, to own things. And similarly, the hubb al-shuhra, talk about shuhra last time, shuhra, fame, is because this is a control over people's hearts. So this is something that is more desired, actually, according to Imam Ghazali, because through fame and love of people, then one can make money, but not the other way around. So people like to control. And we mentioned the philosophical analysis of Imam Ghazali when he said that hearts incline to different things. When the heart inclines to the materialistic pleasure, this is the animalistic part of who we are, because we are a very complex creation. And sometimes the heart inclines to sifat sab'iyya, as he called it, sabr. Means of predators, like anger and punishing and hitting and taking people's stuff and so on, using force, using power and rage. And also sifat, sometimes the heart inclines to sifat al-shaytaniyya, to trick people, to deceive them, to cheat in order to achieve your goals. And this also sifat, or an inclination to the nature of our spirit. Our spirits from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الرُّوحِ قُلِ الرُّوحُ مِنْ أَمْرِ رَبِّي. We also have this. And one of the sifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is what? Is perfection. Allah is the only perfect one. Why? Imam Ghazali said because everything needs something else to exist. The only one who does need something else to make him exist is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. واجب الوجود, as our ulama al-kalam say. Wajib al-wujud is the first and is the last. But every one of us, everything we see, needs something else to make it exist. So we are not, as we sometimes like to think, we are independents. Independents. We are dependent on so many things in order to exist, right? We need to breathe, and drink, to eat, and to be sheltered, and be protected. We need our parents for us to come here, and so on. But because we cannot achieve, we know that we cannot achieve the absolute independence, right? We know that we cannot really be like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because we are far from Kamal. We desire Kamal, or Al-Kamal, or perfection. Kamal means perfection. We desire it. That's why we hate criticism. And that's why we love praise, right? When someone praises you, what do you feel? You feel good, right? And you don't want anybody to see your shortcomings. Naturally, we don't want people to talk about our negatives, right? That's why we are sensitive to criticism. Because our ego, because we try to think of ourselves always as perfect. We are not perfect. We know that, but we still desire it. As one of the Sufis said, that everyone deep in his heart says, أَنَا رَبُّكُمُ الْأَعْلَى. You know who said that? Fir'aun said it, right? He was too arrogant to say it, right? But one of the shuyukh said that everyone in himself, deep in his heart, he says it. I am the most perfect, right? And sometimes people think that they are perfect, but they're not. So he's connecting this hubb al-riya or shuhra. Shuhra means fame. He wants all those people every one of us desires that people respect him and speak positively about him and treat him like as a special person. Because of this ego or love and desire to control people's heart and view about us. We always like to have this beautiful face, and we put sometimes fake masks to make us look good because we desire always to look good in the eyes of the people. And it's sometimes very obvious when people keep talking positive about themselves, all the time. They keep talking, I did this, I achieved that. They try to impress people so that they have more followers, and we all know the like and share and follow in social media, it has some value. Sometimes people live in totally different world. They live in denial, Their personality on Facebook or Instagram is totally different from the reality. They look very happy, energetic, and in reality they're not, right? So he went on to talk about why people love this, and he also talked about this Kamal. And Imam Ghazali, it's very interesting that he wrote in length about this particular issue. To me, Wallahu A'lam, my interpretation to this is that perhaps because this is something he himself went through and he suffered from, love of fame, love of money, and to be liked by the political authority and to be liked by scholars and so on. That's why he wrote extensively about this subject. And he's talking about al-kamal al-haqiqi wal-kamal al-wahmi, the real kamal and the fake kamal. And he said for humans, they seek al-kamal, or perfection, and he talked about knowledge and desire, or sorry, he talked about knowledge and freedom. He said knowledge is also part of our desire to know, is part of our nature. We want to know. There are things that we cannot fully know, right? And there are things that we can know everything about it. We cannot know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala perfectly because our ability to know is very limited. We don't know so many things about the universe. That's why we always like to know about the universe, right? Anything that documentaries or spaceship or pictures come from NASA, we are very eager and curious to know what's going on, right? Although we have no control over these things. We can have no control over angels. We have no control over jinn. We have no control over so many other things. But we like to know about it. This is how we like to control things. We cannot control it physically, but we try to control it by knowing about it. It's like when you don't know how they make all these technology, and you would like actually to go to the factory and to see how they assemble a car together, right? It's fun, right? To get to know how they do it, right? So he said the real knowledge is the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This one actually brings us closer to al-kamal. Because some knowledge, some things that change all the time. Mutaghayyirat, he called mutaghayyirat. Things change. What we know today, perhaps tomorrow will change, right? Geography, 1,000 years ago, is different from geography now, right? Science and biology, things change. But there are things that do not change. And of course, knowing Allah, the sifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala don't change. The tartib of dunya al-akhirah, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala organized this dunya al-akhirah. Knowing Allah and knowing His rights and His wisdom, this is the real knowledge that we need to have. And this knowledge will help us in this world and will help us also in the hereafter. People, he said, most of the people are ignorant because they seek kamal or perfection in controlling these two things, money and fame. They want to control things and they want to control hearts. And the more money you have, the more properties you own, the more control you have, right? And the more control you have over the heart, fame, then this is what it is. The most perfect person, according to many people, the one who is famous and wealthy. Right? And he said, that's the Jahilin think about this. This is how Jahilin think. And this, even if this is perfection according to them, this ends by death. When they die, khalas, they leave the money and leave the fame, everything's. But the real knowledge is the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His sifat, His af'al, and His asma, and His plan for us in this life and the life after. This is actually what brings us closer to perfection. Then, very nice and deep analysis. There's no time to discuss all of them. But back to the point, when he talked about al-mura'a or riya, he said it's part of our nature. We want people to think positively about us. And that's why we sometimes do things for the sake of the people, not for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's also normal. Most of the people do this. And he talked about the various kind of riya. The word riya from ru'ya, ra'a, yara, verb to see, right? Riya is to make people see you in a certain way. And sum'a, it's like shuhra, sum'at, is also from sam'a. Sum'at, you want people to hear certain things about you. So riya and sum'a, they can be both under fame. People see you in a certain image or hear certain things about you. This is what we desire. We desire people to see us always in the most perfect way and to hear perfect things about us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala condemned those who are doing things for the sake of the people. It's very scary. This happened in dunya, it happened in deen. In dunya, people try to show off meetings, conference, the kind of presentation. It has nothing to do with deen. I think have everything to do with dunya, right? I want to show that I'm super smart and I know everything about. I want to impress everybody in the conference about my presentation. But when it comes to deen, it's even worse, because deen belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when we use deen to produce a particular image, that's exactly what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala condemned. And that's why sincerity is the second pillar in any action we do. Any good deeds. To be accepted by Allah, it must have two things. One is sincerity. It has to be for the sake of Allah. The second is that it has to be correct, according to the Quran and the Sunnah. So it has to be correct, and the intention should be for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو لِقَاءَ رَبِّهِ فَلْيَعْمَلْ عَمَلًا صَالِحًا وَلَا يُشْرِكْ بِعِبَادَةِ رَبِّهِ أَحَدًا. At the end of Surah Al-Kahf, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala emphasized these two things. Because sometimes people do wrong things, perhaps with good intention. It's not acceptable. Because you have in the Quran the Sunnah guidance, so you don't have to add something to it. You don't have to add anything. Where do you get this from? Where do you get this from? For people to hurt themselves to show love to Ahlul Bayt, where do you get this from? Yes, love of Ahlul Bayt is there, but hurting yourself and make yourself bleed or beat yourself to show love, that's not the deen of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's something else. Right? So even if someone is doing this with good intention, that's not a good deed. In fact, it is against the teaching of Allah. Islam said, "La darara wa la darar." Don't hurt and don't be hurt by anybody. And the niyyah. So if someone is doing fasting, for example, or umrah or hajj, if his niyyah is not to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then this amal, although it is recommended or required according to the Quran and the Sunnah, but the niyyah is not there. Imam Ghazali actually talked about the various levels of riya, and he said some riya is riya fi asl al-din, riya in aqidah. You know who did this kind of riya? They claim they are Muslims and they are not. They are munafiqun, right? إِذَا جَاءَكَ الْمُنَافِقُونَ قَالُوا نَشْهَدُ إِنَّكَ لَرَسُولُ اللَّهِ. This is what they say. Allah يعلم إنك والله يشهد إن المنافقين لكاذبون. They are lying. So they are doing riya fi asl ad-din. And the other kind of riya is riya fi something that is not aqidah, it's an act of worship, but they do it also for the sake of the people, like praying. Munafiqin used to pray also, right? And this riya is riya in doing good deeds. And sometimes they do riya in the way they look. Imam Ghazali also talked about some people who they try to look like righteous people. And this actually varies from one time to another. So in the old days they used to wear like dirty clothes and cheap clothes, and they're showing that they are from az-zuhad and those who stay away from dunya and so on. Al-Quran Al-Karim talked about those who pray for the sake of people. فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ يُرَاءُونَ وَيَمْنَعُونَ الْمَاعُونَ. You know, you see two people praying, and one is, his prayer is a curse for him. The other one, his prayer is blessing for him. One is praying for Allah and one praying for the people. One must be very, very careful, because the Prophet ﷺ said about this kind of behavior is shirk. When we do something for the sake of the people, and sometimes we don't know about it. This is the problem. As doctors always say that the first step to treat disease is to know about it, to know it exists, right? And that's why if you discover the disease in the early stage, then it's easier to treat it. But if the disease goes on and on and on and there's no symptoms, then it's too late. This is exactly what happens to the disease of the heart. When people don't know that issue with their intention is not purely for Allah, it is for everything to do with the community, with the people, with the fame, with the name, with building this reputation so that their kids can marry good people or they can start business. Because once you have a good reputation, then people will feel comfortable, dealing with you. When we don't know that we have a problem, that is even a bigger problem. But if you know you have a problem and you're not treating it, it's even worse. So what I'm trying to talk about here is just for everyone to open his heart and to find out, what am I doing and for the sake of whom? Am I doing this for Allah really, or for someone else? Am I doing this for Allah or for my own ego, for this perception of kamal? I want to look beautiful and I will look almost perfect in the eyes of the people. And one day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, يَوْمَ تُبْلَى السَّرَائِرِ, Surah Al-Tariq, تُبْلَى السَّرَائِرِ. All these intentions and secrets will be examined, will be brought up. What you think is a secret, nobody knows about it, all these secrets will come out. يَوْمَ تُبْلَى السَّرَائِرِ فَمَا لَهُ مِنْ قُوَّةٍ وَلَا نَاصِرٍ. No quwwah, no power, no nasir or support. We can lie to people, we can hide our intention, but we cannot lie to Allah, we cannot hide our intention with Allah. In fact, Al-Quran talked about the munafiqeen and the trick that they try to play in the Day of Judgment. Play with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They used to play these tricks, and it works. When people, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Mujadala, يَوْمَ يَجْمَعُهُمُ اللَّهُ جَمِيعًا فَيَحْلِفُونَ لَهُ كَمَا يَحْلِفُونَ لَكُمْ وَيَحْسَبُونَ أَنَّهُمْ عَلَى شَيْءٍ. They will swear to Allah as they used to swear to you. And they think they can get away with it. Can you imagine? They are professional liars. They lie all the time. They have no problem lying, concealing, hiding. Hiding half of the truth is lying, by the way. This is what many politicians do. They don't say the whole truth. They say something and hide something else. And that's a lie. And when people do this all the time, they will think they will do it with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they will swear, no, wallahi, we swear by you, we didn't do this. أَلَا إِلَّهُمْ هُمُ الْكَاذِبُونَ. No, you cannot lie to Allah. Allah will make your hands speak, your eyes speak, your tongue speak. Everything can speak and speak against you. So what's problematic about this intention issue is that, as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, it's even more hidden than the steps of an ant. It's that hidden. You have to be very careful before you do anything. Just ask yourself, why am I doing this? Before you go to any meeting, when you drive your car and say, Ya Allah, I'm spending this time and effort, going for your sabil, to support Muslims and to serve Muslims. Right? I'm sure you're invited to so many banquets here and there, meetings and all these events. So before you go, so why am I going there? Why am I going there? Spending some time and driving, for what? And only Allah knows what's in your heart. Only Allah knows what's in your heart. So if we care so much about this fame and shuhrat thing, then our intention automatically will follow. Because we care so much about our image in the eyes of the people. And that's why we always try to please this. It's like people who love money, they always will do anything to get money. People who love fame, they will do anything to shape or to produce this image about themselves. You understand? But if you worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when your intention is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Interestingly, this man, one of the Sufi people said, "Man aslaha ma baynahu wa bayna Allah, aslaha Allah ma baynahu wa bayna nas." Beautiful. If you perfect what's between you and Allah, Allah will perfect what's between you and people. And believe me, that's wallahi, there's a lot of truth about this. وَمَنْ أَصْلَحَ سِرَّهُ أَصْلَحَ اللَّهُ عَلَانِيَتَهُ. Those who perfect their private life, Allah will perfect their appearance. And that's why Al-Quran says, سِمَاهُمْ فِي وُجُوهِهِمْ مِنْ أَثَرِ السُّجُودِ Surah Al-Fath. Allah said the sign of their nur is in their face as a result of their sujood. Sujood with ikhlas, with sincerity. The sujood they make far away from the eyes of the people while praying Qiyamul Layl, and nobody sees them. Because they're not doing for this. That's why Qiyamul Layl is the best prayer after the 5 daily prayers. Why? Because it's supposed to be done far away from the eyes of the people. It's only for Allah. You wake up before Fajr, pray before Fajr. It's dark, nobody sees you, even your family. Even your family or everybody is asleep. And you can go and sleep. You pray the Isha and wait, alhamdulillah, khalas. Don't have to pray anything, but you do this out of love, out of sincerity, out of good intention. Allah loves this. Allah loves this kind of acts that happen only for His sake. That's why fasting, Allah said, إِلَّا الصَّوْمَ فَإِنَّهُ لِي. This sawm is done for me only, because a secret, kind of worship. Ibadah sirriya. And that's why it has its own special place, because it is purely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the beautiful hadith, Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, Bukhari and Muslim, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned the 7 kind of people that Allah will shade in the day of judgment, when there's no shade except Allah's shade. He mentioned some of them are people who are doing some stuff only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And one of them is وَرَجُلٌ تَصَدَّقَ بِصَدَقَةٍ فَأَخْفَاهَا. He hid his sadaqah. Nobody knows anything about it. Even his left hand does not know what his right hand is spent. Just half of him, he does not know about it. And the other person, or another person, is وَرَجُلٌ ذَكَرَ اللَّهَ خَالِيًا فَفَاضَتْ عَيْنَهُ. Someone who is remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all alone, and his tears came out of love or fear for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Khaliyan. Khaliyan means is alone, in private. Nobody's around. And in the other hadith, عَيْنَانْ لَا تَمَسُّهُمَا النَّارُ. 2 kind of eyes that will never be burned in the hellfire. One eye, was guarding Muslims fi sabilillah, and another eye that tears out of fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَعَيْنٌ بَكَتْ مِنْ خَشْيَةِ اللَّهِ. So, this hadith in which Rasulullah also said that مَنْ رَاءَ اللَّهُ بِهِ وَمَنْ سَمَّعَ اللَّهُ بِهِ. Great warning. مَنْ رَاءَ اللَّهُ بِهِ. If you do something for riyah, for people to see you doing it, رَاءَ اللَّهُ بِهِ. Allah will make people see something else, the opposite. وَمَنْ سَمَّعَ. Sam'a means that He makes people hear about what He is doing. سَمَّعَ اللَّهُ بِهِ. Allah will make him also hear something that he does not desire. Then to know that we hear about. In the other hadith, إِنَّ أَخْوَفْ مَا أَخَافُ عَلَيْكُمْ الشِّرْكَ الْأَصْغَرِ. Rasulullah was not worried or concerned about the shirk al-akbar, for Muslims to go back to worship idols. But he was very concerned about the shirk al-asghar. Shirk al-asghar means doing something for Allah and for people. Or for people alone. Imam Ghazali talked about these 4 categories. Sometimes we do things purely for people, and that's the worst. Purely for. In other words, if it was not people around, he wouldn't have done it. He's doing it 100% for people. And sometimes he's doing something he would do anyway, but he perfects it in front of people and would like people to see him doing it. So if he prays quickly and then people are around, then he'll pray slowly and make it longer and more perfect. So he's more concerned about people than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sometimes they are equal. He likes people to know about it, And he also is doing it for the sake of Allah, but he loves people to know about it. You understand? So he would do it anyway. He's doing it regularly. But he also liked people to know about it. Right? And the 4th one is that it's mainly for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and people will know about it and will talk about it. Right? So he said the one who is like equally doing it for the people and for doing it for Allah, and he also loves people to know about it, he would enjoy or be happy. He said, Ghazali said, I wish and I hope that inshallah will be rewarded because he's doing it for Allah. But those who are doing it mainly for the people or only for the people, Allah says, I don't need partners. I don't need any partners. You either do it for me or for somebody else. But don't say I'm doing this for Allah and for... This famous story that we heard about when we were young, about this man who was... he heard about people worshipping a tree. They consider this tree to be holy and they go and worship this tree. And he said, I'm going to go and cut it. And so that people don't worship gods besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he went on his way. Shaitan, of course, did not like it. So Shaitan appeared to him in the form of a human. And he told him, where are you going? He said, I'm going to destroy, to cut off this tree because people worship it. He said, no, you cannot do that. He said, no, I can. And he wrestled him and he beat this Shaitan, beat him down. And he said he was very determined to go. And this Shaitan told him, hold on. So before you go, why bother? So you go home and I promise you every single morning you'll find 2 golden coins in your bed. You are a poor person and you need this money. And he went home and the next morning he found these 2 coins. It was kind of boring. Next day, he found another 2 coins. And the 3rd day, he did not find the money. He was very mad and angry. And he took his axe and he said, this time I'm going to cut the tree. The same person appeared to him. Where are you going? I'm going to cut this tree. He cannot do that. He said, oh, I can. They wrestled him, but this time, Shaitan beat him down. He said, how could this happen? He said, because the first time, your intention was to please Allah. You went to cut this tree for the sake of Allah. Now it's for the sake of money, right? You are not angry because of Allah. You are angry because you did not get the money. Regardless of whether this is a very authentic story or not, the meaning is true. The meaning is true. When we do something for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah blesses it. Right? But when you do something for our own sake, it's a different story. So many things Ghazali mentioned here. He also talked about those who try to appear as more righteous and doing things. And I've seen this. People who like to appear in a certain way so that people trust them. Automatically, people, when you look more traditional, they have trust. I remember in England when we time of prayer, people look around who should be the imam. It's not the regular masjid. And people try to find someone with the hat, and everybody asks him to go and lead. So I wish someone can conduct this study. You know, how psychologically effective these hats and beard and certain clothes you dress. People automatically assume that you are qualified to lead the prayer. This is not to say everybody who's wearing this is necessarily a priya. This is not what I'm saying, just to be clear. And another important thing we also need to be worried about or think about is ما يحبط العمل. إحباط العمل is one of the things that we really need to be very concerned about. حبوط العمل, القرآن talked about it. يا أيها الذين آمنوا أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول ولا تبطلوا أعمالكم فأحبط أعمالهم. What does this mean? It means that you may go and do something really good, with good intention and everything, and then this amal يحبط. حبط العمل means to, you know, they used to give this example of the animals when they die and then they body swells and then it goes down. Eventually it will go down. This is what حبوط العمل means. So when we do something like Hajj or Umrah, and then we come and keep talking about it. I am the one who did this. I am the one who started this masjid. I am the one who started this. I am the one who did this. I am the one who did that. يا أخي طب يعني leave something for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. يعني you did it, maybe you did it with good intention, but keep talking all the time, reminding people about it. It takes away the thawab and the ajr. You have done it already. Just if you are doing for Allah, why are you talking so much about it? Why are you bragging about it? That's called حبوط العمل. يا أيها الذين آمنوا أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول ولا تبطلوا أعمالكم. عمل صار باطل خلاص. You did something and you got your ajr, because if you want the ajr from people, you got it from people. You want the ajr from Allah, be sincere. In Sahih Muslim, that's extreme. One of the very extremely scary hadith, in which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the first people will be thrown in the hellfire is a mutasaddiq and shaheed and alim. The first people will be thrown in the hellfire. You know, the fuel of Jahannam is people. More people, stronger Jahannam. So the first people, and this is, wallahi, it's very scary. Really scary. Every time I read this hadith, I said, I wish I would quit being an imam. That's it. One is the mutasaddiq, a person whom Allah gave him so much money, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will remind him in the day of judgment. The Prophet said that Allah will bring him closer. فَيُذَكِّرَهُ بِنِعَمِهِ أَلَمْ أُعْطِيكَ. Didn't I give you this? Didn't I give you this degree and this job and this income and these properties? And what did you do? He would say, I did not leave any way except I spend for your sake. Every time I'm asked to donate, so I give right and left for your sake. And then Allah will tell him, you are lying. And the angels will know you are lying. You have done so to be said, he is generous. And it has been said. In other words, you got what you sowed. You got it. You have nothing today. For Allah, you did it for people, you got the reward from it. People build this building in your name. They put your name in this building. They talk about your generosity. You got what you are looking for. Now you have no reward. Take him to Jahannam. Another one was killed as shaheed in the battlefield. And Allah will bring him forward. What did you do? Didn't I give you this and that? Yes. Ya Allah, you did. What did you do? He said, I fought fi sabilik, for your sake, until I was killed. Fi sabilillah. Allah will tell him that you are lying. And the angels will say, you are lying. You did so to be said, he's a brave person. And it has been said this monument been built for you. Your name is given to this square, or now you have no reward here. And this won't happen. People die for the sake of going to the battle to show off how smart and skillful they are and how strong. And they fight for the name of their tribe, not for sabilillah. And the third person is a scholar. And Allah will bring him, will remind him of his blessings. Didn't I give you this, give you that? Yes, Ya Allah. What did you do? I taught people knowledge. No, you're lying. You did so to be said, he is a scholar. He is intelligent, he is smart. He focused on fame. This is what you sowed. And you got what you sowed, and now there's no reward for you. You take him. So it's very important for us, brothers and sisters, just to want to conclude with this, that before and while we are doing things, before we do things, we have to think about our intention, why we are doing it. We have to be sincere, we have to be honest to ourselves. We can't lie to people, but we should not lie to ourselves. We need to ask why we are doing this. If it's for Allah, go ahead and do it. If it is for something else, either you don't do it or you purify your intention and then do it. While we are doing the thing, we have to also keep reminding ourselves. And after we do it, don't talk so much about it. Because again, you can do it and get the reward, and then the reward is gone because you keep talking so much about it. Does this mean that we should not do something because I'm not sure about... This is another trick of a shaitan. Shaitan will tell you that don't give in donation in public because that's going to be riyah and you're going to lose your money, no reward, so why doing it? This is another thing shaitan doesn't want you to do. He doesn't want you to give in sadaqah, doesn't want you to pray or to read Quran or to make hajj or umrah. And he will try to come to you through this, to stop you from doing the good deeds. And the one thing is to do it and to do it right. Do it and make sure it's for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't talk so much about it. And that's why the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, when they do so much, they used to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with humility to accept this. That's why in the Eid, the Sunnah is to say, Taqabbal Allah, minna wa minkum. Taqabbal Allah, may Allah accept all what we did in Ramadan, may Allah accept it. Not I did this and I did that. If it was not me, this wouldn't have happened. It's not like that. If you do it for Allah, you don't have to talk about it. Hide it. Keep it like a deal between you and Allah. Because when you do it for Allah, we are expecting something in return from Him. We cannot just expect great reward from Allah and from people. You either do it for Allah or for people. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect our intention and purify our intention, make us among those who do what they do only for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. You have any comment or question, inshallah? Yes.
Yes, Sheikh, when Allah Ta'ala said that the soul is only for the soul being only.
No.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Isn't the prayer also for Allah and Hajj for Allah?
Yeah. إلا الصوم فإنه لي. All acts of the son of Adam is for him, except Sawm فإنه لي. Ulama said it is purely for me. Because when we pray, when we do Hajj, people know you're on Hajj, right? So you get some indirectly or unintended reward. That people, oh, okay, he did Hajj, right? Cannot totally hide it. When we are sitting now, we are sitting in public, right? But someone has to give Friday khutbah, right? Someone has to lead the prayer. So some of our a'mal, we do it in public. It has to be done in public, right? So we get something in return. But some, nobody knows whether we're fasting or not, except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah also knows that it's difficult for the nafs to resist this act of fasting, because we desire to eat and so on. But in a self-fulfilling, your desire, you are resisting, and no one will come after you, tell you what did you eat or anything. It's just between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, Wallahu a'lam, that's why it is purely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No.
There is an ayah in Surah Maryam in which Allah said, if the people who like people with iman who do good deeds, Allah will create love in people's hearts for them. So what's the relation with that?
Right. إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات سيجعل لهم الرحمن ودا. In the hadith, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, when Allah loves someone, He calls Jibreel. And He tells Jibreel alayhi salam that, Ya Jibreel, I love so and so, so love him. So Jibreel would love him. And Jibreel, he has this connection with the angels of all 7 heavens and on earth. And Jibreel will make an announcement. Allah loves this person. So love him. So everybody will love him. وَيُوضَعْ لَهُ الْقَبُولِ فِي الْأَرْضِ. And the Prophet said, فَيُحِبُّهُ أَهْلُ السَّمَاءِ. The people of the heaven will love him. وَيُوضَعْ لَهُ الْقَبُولِ فِي الْأَرْضِ. Qabul means acceptance. Will be placed on earth for him. So in other words, people will love him. It's a sign of, as ulama said, it's a sign of the love of Allah when people love someone. And the opposite is also true. When Allah hates someone, Allah will call Jibreel and tells him, I hate this person. And Jibreel will hate him, and Jibreel will make the announcement, the people of the heaven will hate him, and the people on earth will also hate him. For some reason, they don't like him. They don't know why. And as I mentioned before, this love of the people of the heaven, how do we know about it, and how will this help us? It will help, inshallah, one day, because as I was talking about the Mi'raj, our spirit will also have its own Mi'raj. Think of Mi'raj as like elevator, big elevator. So your a'mal goes up to Allah. So, and when you dhikr, your Quran goes up to Allah to go and make tawaf around the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, according to one hadith. And your name will be mentioned, this is the dhikr of so and so, this is the amal of so and so. So you may not be very famous here, but you may be very famous there. Very. And إن الذين قالوا ربنا الله ثم استقاموا تتنزل عليهم الملائكة ألا تخافوا ولا تحزنوا وأبشروا بالجنة التي كنتم توعدون. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves someone, you will find people generally it's like easygoing, as they say. You know, people like for some reason. And sometimes we don't know. We like someone, so I don't know. Once I talked to him, I didn't know. It's as if I know him for so long. I don't know, for some reason I felt he's my friend. That's qabul. And usually those who are good with their parents, they have this qabul. This is an addition from my pocket, you know. People are nice to their parents, you will see this. And the opposite is also true. Those who mistreat their parents, nobody will like them. So how to connect this is sincerity. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. The only one who knows the level of sincerity is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allahu a'lam.
What is the authenticity of the buru?
The what?
Buru walidain.
Birrul walidain. What about it?
The authenticity, I heard some people saying that birrul walidain doesn't get hurt by riya.
Does not
get diminished by the riya.
The love of parents?
Yeah. Like birrul walidain, the way to deal with parents.
Mm-hmm.
And to be good with them, even though somebody can expect people to talk good about them.
Oh, so yeah, sometimes people, that's not only with parents, it's with spouses, with children. Some people are very rough at home, very difficult, but outside the community they smile and they treat their kids very nicely, and you know, they try to be political and socially correct. That's one of the diseases of. And all these scandals we hear about, may Allah protect all of us. You know, people have this like schizophrenic behavior. That's the norm. People, especially famous, powerful people, they have two faces. One face at home and the other face outside. And that's why when they asked the wives of the Prophet ﷺ about his behavior at home, they praised him. He's like, again, the sirr and alani are the same. And the dua, the Prophet says, in the dua, Allahumma ja'al sirrana khayran min alaniyatina. Make our secrets or private life better than our public life. You know, because most of the people, their public image is better than their reality. So he's praying to make his reality better than what people think about him. Because they're either equal or one of them is more than the other. In most of the cases, people outside, they wear this mask. You know, they're lovely, they're nice. And that's why when these crimes are committed, so people, we cannot believe it. He's so sweet and nice. Oh, wow. We cannot expect this person to do this.
This question's a little different. This question.
Yes, I'm coming. So when it comes to birrul walidain, someone may appear to be nice to his parents outside, in front of people, but in reality, he's not. I don't know if this is what you're referring to.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
I was referring to that some people will be good to their parents. They are good, their education is good, but they also like to be praised for that.
Right.
So,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is, again, with all social activities that we do sometimes, one must understand that when we do this for Allah, it's a form of ibadah, regardless of what people say. In fact, Imam Ghazali mentioned something I did not want to, but I will mention very briefly. There is a school of thought in Sufi, because Sufism also have different schools of thought, different philosophies and trends. One of them is called al-malamatiyya. Malamatiyya in Arabic means the blameworthy. So malamatiyya, they do intentionally acts that turn people off from them, to escape fame. Sometimes they go into some extreme, but because they know fame is dangerous. It's like light. They don't like to appear. They don't like to be known as good. So one of them went outside, and people heard about him. And the king of this place that he went to, not to be known, because he want nobody to know about him. The king came with his assistants, and they went to this man, and they entered his tent, and he said, "What's going on?" He said, "This is the king of this area." So what does he want? Oh, he heard about you and your knowledge and hikmah and wisdom and taqwa and things, so he came to seek blessing from you. He said, "Do you have any food?" He said, "Yeah, we have some, bring some food." And he kept eating with both hands. So if you see someone eating like this, what will you do? And the king said, "Where is the guy that we killed?" He said, this one? No, forget about it, let's go home. And he left and said, "Alhamdulillah, I catch your friend." So they used to do the opposite. They exactly used to intentionally make something that make people look down at them. Not to say haram, but something like. And they do it intentionally to escape this because they know it's dangerous. So one must actually think about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If Allah is your intention, Allah will take care of the rest of the things. And believe me, those who treat their parents with respect, with sincerity, it will appear in their amal, in how people treat them. Because Allah said, وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا قَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. So this is one of the best good deeds that one can do. So when we do it sincerely for Allah, we don't have to do something else for people. Deal with Allah, and Allah will take care of you. Yes?
Imam, can you elaborate on the topic of donations when you're in a fundraising event? So in general, the approach is that most people would ask you to do open donations so that other people can see that and make the incentive to make the donation. The other opinion is that you don't want to do it openly because one, it's going to bring Riyah in your personal self, and also for the fact that you don't want to be known in front of the public that you're making the donation. So which one is the right way, and what are the reasons to be one thing over the other?
But the question is about giving in charity in public, like you're on a fundraising dinner and people are asking you to donate, and then you raise your hand. Or is it better to give in public or in private? Well, this depends on knowing yourself. If you know that if you do it in public, your intention is for Allah, but you want to encourage others to give, then do it in public. It's better to do it in public. But if you know that you are so weak and I have an issue with this stuff, so I would rather write a check and give it in private, then everybody knows it's like you yourself is a physician. So every case is different. You may prescribe this medicine to this patient and another medication for another patient, or different doses. It depends on the weight and the history and the kind of disease and severity of the illness and so on. So Al-Quran, generally speaking, said, "In tubdu sadaqat fani'imma hi." If you give in charity in public, that is great. وَإِن تُخْفُوهَا. But if you hide it, وَتُؤْتُوهَا الْفُقَرَاءَ فَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. It's better. However, the ulama said that when it comes to giving sadaqah for poor people, it's better to hide it. Why? Because you want to respect their feeling. Okay? But if you are giving for the masjid, for example, or for public institution, organization, right? And you do it in public, and you know yourself, you are strong enough that I'm doing it for Allah and to encourage others to give. And this is what happened. Rasulullah made fundraising. And Abu Bakr brought his entire money. We know about it. But Abu Bakr, we give it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But it's written in history, right? And Umar gave 50% of what he had. And other Sahaba brought a lot of things. So this public donation happened in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the munafiqeen used to make fun of the Sahaba because some of them, before the battle of Tabuk, would come with a handful of dates. And the munafiqeen would laugh at him. So look at this. Muhammad wants to prepare an army, and this guy is bringing a handful of dates. What would this handful of dates do? You are going to fight against the Byzantine Empire. And Allah appreciated this sadaqah and condemned the munafiqeen. الَّذِينَ يَلْمِزُونَ الْمُطَّوِّعِينَ مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ فِي الصَّدَقَاتِ وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَجِدُونَ إِلَّا جُهْدَهُم. They don't have anything except the very little, the juhd. Juhd means like the bare minimum. They're already poor, but they're giving part of this little they have. فَيَسْخَرُونَ مِنْهُمْ. They make fun of them. سَخِرَ اللَّهُ مِنْهُمْ وَلَهُمْ عَذَابٌ. Allah would make fun of them, of these munafiqeen. So this public donation happened in the time of the Prophet, and the Sahaba donated, and Uthman gave this fully loaded hundreds of camels for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So again, I would say it's better to hide it if you think, you have issues, you are not sure, give it in private. But if you think, I'm doing it for the sake of Allah and to encourage others to give, then do it. Allahu A'lam.
Sirra wa alaniya is not applied to the zakah?
It does. الَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ سِرًّا وَعَلَانِيًا. Sometimes, and then again, sirran wa alaniya depends on the situation. Sirran is better when you are giving it to poor people. And that's why Quran, the same part of Surah Al-Baqarah, says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا قَوْلٌ مَعْرُوفٌ وَمَغْفِرَةٌ خَيْرٌ مِنْ صَدَقَةٍ يَتْبَعُهَا أَذًى. Allah does not like sadaqah followed by mentioning. You give someone and I give him this and that, I give him that. Then Allah does not like this. And the Quran says, لَا تُبْطِلُوا صَدَقَاتِكُم. This talking about your sadaqah will go away with the reward. بِالْمَنِّ وَالْأَذَى. That's sirran. But alaniyatan is better sometimes. In these cases, when you are in desperate need to raise funds for good cause. Say, you know what, I will pay the first $1,000 and this will open the door for others to follow, do it. So sometimes sirran is better, and some other times alaniyatan is better.
Surah Kahf, when Allah mentioned that I will tell you people who will be in Khasara on Yawm al-Qiyamah, there will be no mizan for them. So when like these kind of people, they are doing good things, so what is the meaning of no mizan will be?
I think you are referring to the ayah الذين ضل سعيهم في الحياة الدنيا قل هل أنبئكم بالأخسرين أعمالا الذين ضل سعيهم في الحياة الدنيا وهم يحسبون أنهم. That's different. The Quran is talking about those who are doing wrong things and they think they are doing the right thing, like those who worship other gods and are loyal to their idols. These monks who really worship very hard, much harder than you and I, and deprive themselves from a lot of pleasure. And they think they are doing the right thing. So I don't think this applies to this discussion. Yes?
One thing is that on this open giving, sometimes the first person is okay, second, third, fourth, next few people, some of them might feel that they are under pressure or they have to do something.
Oh, that's a good point, yeah. Yeah, you know, these fundraising events are, you know, that's what man is used, so I have to be careful. They're tricky sometimes from an ethical perspective. You know, yeah, you're right. Sometimes one feels pressure. I have to give because if I don't, then how come all these people did and I look bad? Do I have to give? Yeah, you're losing your money for nothing. That's not why we give. We give for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? I know some fundraisers are very aggressive, and sometimes it goes beyond the limit. Sometimes they call people names, and sometimes they it should not be very tough on people. You know, sometimes people don't feel comfortable at all attending fundraising. Some people write a check and that's it. But anyways, we have to, in these meetings, see nobody in the hall except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As if you are the only one sitting there and Allah is the second. Khalas. Don't worry about people and pay what you can pay for the sake of Allah. You may get enthusiastic and influenced by the advent which is positive, because sometimes shaitan tells us don't give. And when you see your brothers are giving, this may actually help you win this battle against shaitan. But when do we know it is me winning over the shaitan or the fundraiser winning over me? Again, the intention must be clear. Yes.
You know, Imam, I think the fundraising is different now than at the time of the Prophet. There, you cannot give a check.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why Uthman radiallahu anhu brought all these camels filled with this stuff.
Right.
But now I don't need to see those camels to give my check.
Mm-hmm.
The fundraising is done right, as long as they're giving you the score. That, you know, there are people who are donating and
right.
you should donate as well.
Right.
I don't have to have my name up there.
Right.
That I donated this, so you should donate it too. So I think that whole concept of giving the people, you know, that, you know, he did this and he did this and then I'm doing this, I think this is not applying anymore. I think the total number tells you everything you need to know. Now we can do all these calculations and people put those dashboard on top of it saying, you know, here people are donating, is that people are collecting the checks. I think that people should not be giving with their name, you know, and telling them I'm donating this. Well,
this is another way to look at it. And I've attended millions of fundraisings, and every fundraising is done differently. But this way, I saw more organizations adopting this when they say, okay, the target is, let's say, 100,000. So now it is 20, it's 25, it's 30. It doesn't matter who put into this box. So the name is not really important. What's important is that, mashallah, we are getting closer to the target. Now it's 70. We need 30,000 more, and so on. But this is not to say that this public fundraising is wrong, because it's done in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, and the Sahaba brought their clothes, their shoes, their dates. So, as I mentioned, some ibadat will be done in public anyways, including zakat. And zakat, keep in mind, zakat is one of the pillars, and it is to be collected from people, and the names are involved. So I won't say it's totally wrong for people to pledge or to give or write a check, but it would be better actually to avoid this intention thing, to talk about the whole number instead of mentioning people by name. And I've seen this in our community many times. People pay big checks, and they said anonymous. You don't want the name to be mentioned. I like this. I like this very much, because again, if you are dealing with Allah, why do you want your name to be mentioned? Huh? So it happens all the time. People write checks and say the name is not to be mentioned. Maybe the treasurer would know, because they have to deal with this check. But yeah. Yes. Okay. So okay, we'll come back to you.
Just coming for Khalid. So, in the example of Sayyidina Uthman, he stood up and said, "Me." Rasulullah said, "Who will give this?" Uthman stood up and said, "Me." And Uthman stood up and said again, "Me." So, it could be different ways, but that was a very direct example, explicit example from.
Right. Yes.
I was saying that one way to overcome this issue would be when you are in fundraising or public donation, fundraising events. You can go with a set mind that how much you're going to donate for that event,
right,
so that you don't get influenced by how much everybody else is giving, and then you have to raise the bar, because then it may be an added thing, because you are just thinking, that other person gave 5,000, so now I have to increase it to 10,000.
Right.
So,
right.
I mean, if you have a preset amount, that you're thinking that you're going to donate, just donate that, and you don't have to even wait for other people to start donation.
Right. I mean, the amount you want to donate should not be influenced by what others are doing. It depends on your ability and your intention. And again, remember, this money goes in the hand of Allah because it goes in the hand of people. So, سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد ان لا اله الا انت نستغفرك ونتوب اليك والعصر ان الانسان لفي خسر الا الذين امنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر سبحان ربك رب العزه عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.